Hello, we are going to read Henry and Mudge and Mrs. Hopper's house. Oh, sweethearts, dance! Valentine's Day coming. Henry and his big dog Mudge love Valentine's Day because of the candy. They like the little candy hearts that they use well, and oh dear, and things like that. Henry read the word and Mudge licked them off. They were a good team. On this Valentine's Day, Henry's father and Henry's mother was going to sweetheart dance. Henry and Mudge were staying with Mrs. Hopper. Mrs. Hopper lived across the street. It's a big stone house with the droopy trees and dark windows and the goggle on the door. Henry liked Mrs. Hopper, but he did not like her house. Are you sure Mudge and I can't come in the sweetheart dance? Henry asked his father. Only you both promise you to wear a tuxedo and shiny black shoes and the rest to the blue Danube, Henry's father. Henry looked at Mudge and tried to imagine him in the tuxedo and shiny black shoes with to the blue Danube. I think we better go to the Mrs. Hopper's, Henry said. Good idea, said Henry's father. Because Mudge only knew how to tap dance, Henry said with a grin. Mrs. Hopper, on Valentine's night, Henry's parents got dressed up. Henry looked at them. Wow, he said. I bet you didn't know I was this handsome, said Henry's dad. I did, Henry's mother said, giving him a kiss. Ugh, too much mushy stuff, Henry said to Mudge. Let's get to Mrs. Hopper's house, quick. At Mrs. Hopper's house, Mudge licked the goggle on the front door. Henry giggled. He didn't scare you, Mudge, Henry said. Then Mrs. Hopper opened the door. She had a violin in her hand. She smiled at Henry. She patted Mudge. She said goodbye to Henry's parents, and Mudge went inside. Wow, said Henry. He had never been inside Mrs. Hopper's house before. It was like a castle. There was a big chandelier and tall pictures, paintings, and the grand piano. The lucky for Mudge, cats everywhere. How many cats do you have, Mrs. Hopper? asked Henry. 11, said Mrs. Hopper. All girls. Mudge looked at the cats and wagged. Mudge loved cats. Henry told Mrs. Hopper how Hopper petted Mudge again, and Mudge loved everything, she said. Henry smiled. Mrs. Hopper's house wasn't bad. It was wonderful. Maybe yet parents would dance all night long. Costume, and Mrs. Hopper wasn't like anyone Henry had never met. She played the violin by running for him. She served him tea. She told him about his father, who had been a famous actor. She was very kind to Mudge. She cooked him the bowl of oatmeal and gave him the one loaf of French bread. After the tea and the music and oatmeal, Mrs. Hopper took them upstairs. She opened the room that had been her father's. "Wow," said Henry. The room was full of costumes. There were silk capes and tall hats and shiny coats. And there was canes, there were swords, there were and umbrellas, there were wigs. Mrs. Hopper put a wig on Mudge. "You like a poodle, Mudge," said Henry. Mudge wagged and wagged. Henry and Mudge and Mrs. Hopper spent most of the evening in the costume room. They had a wonderful time. And when the parents came back to the dance, were they ever surprised? Mudge was a poodle and Henry was a man. Henry wore a tuxedo and a hat and a shiny black shoes. "I bet you know it's handsome," Henry told his dad, and everyone laughed and laughed. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, please subscribe. Please don't phone.